I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, January 13th meeting of the Haymarket Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Passanella.
Here.
Chairman Collar.
Here.
Commissioner, this is why I don't do this ever.
Maureen Carroll, present.
Commissioner Carroll.
Present.
All right, thank you. If we could all please stand, pledge allegiance to the flag, and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. A moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. All right, this time, before we get any further, I'd just like to pass on my thoughts and prayers to the Leaks. At this time, we'll go into the minutes approval. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of our last meeting?
I'll move the acceptance of the minutes.
All right, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, this time, I would like to open the public hearing for our sign ordinance zoning text amendments. Do we have any citizens here that would like to speak to the sign ordinance zoning text amendment? Please come forward to the podium, state your name and address, and we would like to hear your input.
Dottie Leonard, 14801 Washington Street. I'm just looking at it for the very first time, and one of the first red flags I see is the, I'm wondering if there's something new in Section 58336A, controlling the sign color, size, et cetera, on private property. I don't know what that is. I don't remember seeing that before. I think all business property is private property, isn't it? I'm just thinking that there's so many subtle ways that our lives can be made miserable, and the whole purpose for, I was one of the loudest voices in asking the sign ordinance to be looked at again and reconsidered. And one of the issues is that when you drive down Washington Street, even though they meet regulations, if you're passing the block that is where the shops are with the historic home behind it, you can't even tell driving down the street what those businesses are. The signs are like this big. So that, and then you have another one like the one out here that's as big as a mountain and red letters on plastic. So it doesn't make sense. I would like to see us not make things more stringent for people. If the intent is to go after people like me who put political signs in their yard, I don't want some color or size or regulation affecting my freedom of speech on political signs. And I know that it was brought up about real estate signs, and I think that went away. Those are the kind of things that would get citizens irate. We don't want to get the property owners irate, and if I need to work harder on the people who are responsible to get their signs down out of my yard at the end of 60 days or whatever it is, I can do that. I just don't want people's rights to put a political sign in their yard because it's a little bigger than another sign. It's too 2 months out of every 4 years or something that we have that, and when we do the town elections, it might be a few weeks out of every other year. So I want to look at that carefully. I hope you all will look at that carefully, and that you'll think more about, rather than being more stringent in regulation, lightening up some so that people's businesses can be visible. Thank you. I appreciate all of you and what you do.
All right, thank you, Mary. All right, anybody else? Sir, are you here to speak on the sign ordinance?
Just here to listen.
Okay, all right. All right, so not seeing any other, we will now close the public hearing for the sign ordinance zoning text amendment. All right, next thing would be citizens' time. Do any citizens have anything they'd like to speak on other than the sign ordinance zoning text amendment? All right, seeing none, we will close citizens' time. Announcements. Anybody have announcements for us?
Oh, we might have to consider, again, Marchand has a conflict with Wednesday nights, the second Wednesday.
Right.
Do we have to reconsider another night?
Or the first Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing magical for me about the second. I'm just trying to think. The town council meets on the last Friday of every month, and, I'm sorry, the last Monday of every month and the first Monday of every month, so we'd be meeting 2 days after them. But are there, as a town manager, do you see anything that would,
The only thing it would mean 2 meetings for you during the week, or whoever is the liaison from the council. That's one thing to consider. Staff does put a lot of time into getting ready for council meetings. That would be putting another meeting right on top of it, which might be problematic to be within the same week.
right?
I know in talking to Marchand, he gave me a couple of days when he had conflicts, but for the most part, he's pretty wide open on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. But you could explore the first Wednesday, but there would be some considerations with that regard.
So basically, is he tied up the second Wednesday of every month?
Yes, what it is Loudoun County has, Board of Supervisors have officially declared that the second Wednesday is going to be their public hearings. Now, there could be months when he doesn't have anything to present, but more often than not, he at least will be part of at least one presentation.
Well, you all thoughts?
Consider the third Wednesday. First of all, it would allow staff the time following the town council if there were anything that we needed to, run off, prepare for our meetings, set the agenda, and then run off these publications.
The issue you run into with third Wednesday is that's currently when the ARB meets at the same time.
How about on Thursday? Either the first or the second Thursday? How do people feel about that?
Wednesdays are better, well, for me. I mean, I could maybe move stuff around. I already have commitments on Thursday. Let me ask you this. Can you talk to the staff and see what their feelings are if we went to the first Wednesday, realizing that it's 2 days after, but at the same time, they can knock all their meetings out in 1 week where they wouldn't be away from their families another week? Maybe they would like that. For me, it doesn't matter. The more we can condense it, to me, the better.
And isn't it usually that we vet things to give to the council?
Correct.
Rather than the other way.
So then the
Right.
other way around. So
And then-
that won't be an issue.
Right, then that actually gives the council more time for their work session to consider what we put forward. So it may, just if you would, we don't have to make a decision tonight because our next one's not till February, but, just bounce it off them. We want to work with them as well.
Okay.
and just see what they say?
We'll see. He does show that as available, so.
Okay. Why don't you just, bounce it off staff, and then we can email amongst ourselves, and
That's great.
then that way, try to make it work for everybody.
Yep, will do.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? I do have one for those people that may be watching this. Don't forget about the Dominion Valley meetings coming up in February and March at Battlefield High School. Trying to think of the dates, but on both days they're coming, one in February and one in March.
February 24th, and I believe it's March the 9th.
All right, February 24th, March 9th. They're doing 2 meetings each day, one at 4:30 and one at,
I can't remember if it's March 2nd or 9th.
okay.
I know
It's on the web, I know. They're meeting twice each day. For those people that can't get there at 4:30, there's another meeting at 7. And those will be really important meetings to come out and speak on the route of Dominion.
It's the 24th, February 24th and March 14th.
Okay, and they're 4:30 and 7, so, yep. All right, that's all the announcements I have, unless somebody else has something. All right, ARB update.
there was no meeting last month, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
All right, thank you. Town council update. We did have a couple inquiries about the old police station on the Hanover property. I haven't heard any more about it, but a couple people were inquiring about it. So, do you have any update?
We actually have received one proposal. I'll be working with council with regard to how we process these, but it's very early stages, but we are still seeing lots of interest in it, and all these proposals are coming in with basically a somewhat of a nominal offer. Nothing has been dictated as to how much,
Right.
and then basically, more importantly, is the plan for how to relocate it
Right.
within hopefully a timely manner.
I think the council, if we can preserve it and not incur all the costs, if somebody were to move it, even if we made nominal, we've discussed that at length. And then I want to thank those that are involved in putting the speed limit signs in town. I've already noticed a difference. Sunday, we were walking the dog, and there was a car doing 49, and when they saw it flashing, you could just see the numbers dialing down, so it's already paying dividends.
Plus, they collect data, so we would have times when they were most, say, abused,
I can't answer. Is it?
That's correct.
Okay.
so that you could actually have police presence there for those times?
Well, not only that, what it does is it tells us what time of days we want to be maybe setting up a police presence.
Right.
It's when I'm walking my dog in the mornings.
That's right. We'll monitor it. So,
Right.
but yeah, both signs on the east and west side of the town all collect data.
Okay.
Great.
Yep.
Will that data be shared at any time online?
I don't know if it'll be
Police
shared
report?
online, but it probably would be shared maybe through the police report. I mean, we're still just learning it and learning the system, how it works. So, but that's one, we wanted to make sure we did get ones that did collect data. So.
Okay. And I guess just the last question I have, if there's no others, any update? I was going to ask Marchand on the Chick-fil-A when they're going to actually break ground.
We don't have a date as of yet. They're processing through the bond process right now, and I think with going into the winter months, typically they're probably going to be looking at like probably early spring. Just depends on how much of a hard winter we have. But all the everything on our end has been completed, so it's just a matter of coming in and pulling permits at this
Okay.
point.
All right.
How about any information on opening the shared use pathway across the Old Carolina Bridge here?
Well, one of the pushes was to get the bridge completed and open to traffic. They're going to continue to work on that. That will probably be more the spring 2016 delivery. But when they do that, that'll be the complete finish. They also will be tying it into the path, and of course, we're working on completing the path and engineering, which will come in behind that project. So, but their main focus and goal was in trying to be responsive to some of the town's inquiries and as well as some other concerned area inquiries. They were trying to get it open to traffic as quickly as possible with the work starting to ramp up at the Route 15 interchange.
Yeah. A lot of good things are happening, just patience. It's not always easy, but a lot of good things. All right, well, thanks. All right, old business. Looking at the sign ordinance zoning text amendment, do I have a motion to forward the sign ordinance zoning text amendment to the town council?
I would make a motion to, a general recommendation to forward the sign ordinance zoning text amendment to the town council with proposed changes from the town attorney and the town council to be added yet in the future.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Could you just fill us in on the highlights? I mean, we've all gone over this and looked at it, a lot of discussion, but is there any major changes?
Marchant actually provided me with some, so I'm just going to pretty much go down his list here. The content changes to the sign ordinance from the last time PC looked at, both in response to PC and the direction, and additional edits by our town attorney. One, it allows temporary signs without a permit, provides height and area requirements, and permits zoning administrator to approve applications for extensions in appropriate circumstances. Two, allows larger wall signs in the B1 district in the gateway sign map area, Foster's type on the side of the building, for example. Three, allows 16 square foot of temporary signage per residential property as freestanding or wall signs. Four, allows window signs in residential districts required by law. And then five, allows banners as temporary signs. Martin and Marchant are going to continue to work on the cleanup. Most of it's all just consistent of language and standards across all the districts. So that would be the only changes. And then what we would do is, if you all choose to forward this as a recommendation to council, council will take this up. The final changes will be made, and then we'll report back to you. Staff will report back to the Planning Commission next month what those changes are going before the council.
All right, and then it's my understanding, we recommend this. Obviously, it's the council's decision, but there'll be another public hearing with the town council where citizens will have another chance to look at the final draft, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, looking this over, I mean, we've spent a lot of time. I know Martin's looked at it, the other town attorney. We've had a lot of eyes looking on this. I like the changes for the citizens. The last thing we want to do, I'll speak for myself, is to infringe upon their constitutional rights. And I think it does allow for a lot of latitude, and I think it helps our businesses too. And I think the council, we've talked a lot about how to keep the old town feel in the 21st century, and it's not always easy, but I think some good changes. So any other comments before we?
In particular, I would just mention, based on what Dottie said earlier, that there is quite a bit of latitude as far as the signs and the timing of political signs can be placed on private property. I think more so than in the past. What does end is when this political season is over, the signs come back. That's.
Yeah. I mean, I think within reasons, you don't want to sign up 2 months after the election. It just doesn't look good.
Defeats the purpose.
Also, the signs for businesses have been increased, the sign allowances. And that was basically a consideration, and that was written in the new code. So that addresses your other comment about business-friendly signs and seeing where the business is.
And that's been a problem. All right, well, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of passing the sign ordinance zoning text amendment up to the town council for consideration and another public hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we passed it up. All right, town planner. Mr. Manager, I'm sure you're doing the town planner update.
Yes, just within your pack, I think the only thing that we want to bring to your attention this evening is a 1 mile notice with regard to a proposed comp plan update from Prince William County. They are in the process of initiating the removal of the Bi-County Parkway. And basically, what this comes down to is a couple different choices and directions you can go into. I won't go into all the details of it. It's in the packet. But basically, you all can look at it. This is an offer that the county gives to kind of include us. It's a process that is helpful as being a good community steward, basically letting us get a chance to make any kind of comment. Typically speaking, Marchant will basically make comments based upon what the direction of our guiding documents are with regard to the comp plan, with regard to council focus and strategies and policies. That would be shared with you, but basically, typically in the past, he would handle this. Council, the planning commission, would basically have the right to, if you wanted to, you all could review that, or he could just send it out as a copy to you all. But basically, we weigh in the comments, whether or not we're for or against it, or indifferent in some cases.
And what's the town's stance?
I think we would support. I know this has been a kind of a hot button issue,
Right.
and so
Very.
I think the town would probably most likely support the county's initiative, as long as there are other transportation initiatives that are underway there that would meet the goal. I'll be the first one to say I don't have a vast history on the subject, other than what I've read this today through it, and that's basically what it is. It's reports about the petition to remove it from the comp plan. It just, what most likely happened was this was an envisioned several, like decades ago, and it just stayed in the comp plan, and as comp plans got updated, it just got kept, and now it's one of those things that's not necessarily at the point where they feel like it's needed because it doesn't match with what they're trying to create.
Right.
So I think that's where you get a lot of opposition.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Pete Canlin's spoken about it a couple times. Council's talked about it briefly, and I guess the studies they've done, from what I've sat in on, it really wouldn't help our traffic situation, and it would cut a large swath across the county of other projects. So do we need to act on this? I mean, the council's going to see this, correct?
Support of removal?
Well, essentially what it is, this is a planning
Right.
matter. Really, in essence, what you all could do is basically task Marchant to basically come up with a response. If that's the planning commission's wish. Otherwise, you're all welcome to basically come up with your own response, and we'll forward it for you. But I would recommend that you would allow him to come up with a response, and he can bring this back to you. We typically like to stay in touch with them, so it might be one of those things where if there's any kind of deadline on this, which I'm not aware of, we might have to correspond. But it would be in next month's planning commission packet with regard to whatever is forwarded on.
I would personally like to hear Marchant. I mean, he has a lot more
Right.
knowledge. So if there's no objection, we'll just carry this forward and let him speak at the next one. Is that okay with everybody?
Right, because they're really decreasing the number of lanes on 234, and from 6 to 4, the proposed number for the 2030 comp plan. And that's interesting and definitely complicated, so I would like to hear what he says, how that fits.
Right. All right, well, let's carry that forward so Marchant can speak to it. All right. Do we have anything else before we wrap up tonight?
Just a quick, I know they were talking about finding the property across the street. If they weren't going to clean it up, do you know if they had moved on doing anything about it?
Well, we are currently working on getting a draft together of a revised blight ordinance.
Okay.
To give us a little bit more teeth. That would be coming through.
Okay.
Actually, that probably just would go directly through council. But that's one of the things we're looking at this time. We are working with the property owners still. I mean, they are still kind of looking at prospective developers. We've heard various different things, but this is kind of how it happens in the
And
planning.
then nothing gets
And
done.
and so we're kind of moving forward to say, well, we need to get some a little bit more teeth,
Right.
Unless the building can be declared by our building official to be uninhabitable, which there are some that can. There's really not much we can do at this point, because if you just leave in other words, if you say you have to secure them, and they secure them by boarding up the windows, and then they've secured the building. And so that's what we kind of run into. So it's not for a lack of wanting to do it, just making sure we do it through the proper channels. So that's what we're currently doing, is really kind of putting together a draft of a revised light ordinance, which gives us a little bit more teeth, and at the same time working with the property owners. So
Are you
Nothing
speaking to
imminent.
just one building or to that whole,
The whole mess.
all the way down to, okay.
there's one building that we know of, and we're actually going to have our building official take a look at a couple of them.
Just all the junk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'm always, there's just a part of me that it's private property, and, where does the private property right end and the government infringe, and I always get a little queasy but at the same time,
He's an
it's definitely an
absentee.
eyesore.
Right.
You
And
think
he's
you
in-
would take ownership of your property, and you'd want it to look good.
But he
so.
doesn't see it because he's not here. That's
True.
the,
It's-
yeah.
It's
What it
potentially
normally
an
comes down
attractive
to-
nuisance, too.
It does, and all those things are,
That's-
all those things, and it's one of those things when you're typically, when you have the possibility of getting a site redeveloped in our particular case, it's to our advantage. You get more
Sure,
flies with sugar than,
absolutely.
yeah. But at the same time, what I was going to say is, like, to answer that question with the property, it's a matter of public health, health, safety, and welfare.
Yeah.
There's imminent danger with that structure being in the condition that it's in. That's one of the reasons why it might not be your first choice, and really that's one of those things where that's what the conditions were that we had. That's why these properties get boarded up, because that's keeping, in theory, out, or that's why it gets fenced around.
Well,
because-
at our next meeting, can you all bring up a little bit more about where we're at in that process?
Yeah, we're hoping to have, and the draft shouldn't be taking too long, it's just a matter of getting it through the
Because
process.
I know that's been another topic for at least the year and a half I've been on the council. We want something done over there. It's just, I've heard a lot of citizens are like, when are you going to clean that mess up?
Exactly. We had asked that.
All right, good. Appreciate you bringing that up. Anything else?
I know that there is a new cigar club, I guess, opened in town. Is the
I don't know the name of it, but it's in back of the bank.
Tobaccology.
What is it?
Tobaccology.
Tobaccology. And it's a membership only group?
That, I'm not exactly sure of. I believe so, but I'm not sure.
You can go in there and find out.
Not interested in smoking.
We have a question from the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was here, and I just have a little bit of background information on that property across the street. I was here on the planning commission when they had a buyer for that lot who wanted to build townhouses fronting right up on the street, like the ones that are just outside of town on the right, going toward Gainesville. And the council, the planning commission, at that time, headed by former chairman Weir, and the council said no to them. That would have made all the difference in the world. The owner was still living there. He had since committed suicide. So, I agree with Chairman Paul that tempering mercy with justice would be appropriate, and the best possible thing council to do, and you people to do, is to really look at and assist in getting a good approval through if we get a buyer. I agree with you, it's horrible, but I was here and saw them torn down for something that would have been beautiful.
What was do you remember the reason why that was voted down? I can't imagine.
I can tell you from my experience here with that former council and planning commission and mayor, it was totally personal. personal agendas.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know.
All right, well, thank you for the insight. All right. I look for a motion that we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, all in
I second.
second? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. Appreciate you guys coming out on this cold night and 29 minutes. Thank you to the citizens.